Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday and April 1st, so happy hump day and happy April Fool's Day. I hope everybody is staying safe and dry after yesterday's crazy weather that we had going on. So let's jump back into things, shall we? So today, for our daily agenda, we have our before activities. So our before activity is our usual mastery prep activity. Verbs, part 2, exercise 1. And then our during activity today, which I'm really excited about, is we're going to talk about isolation in the secret garden. And then after, we're going to jump in, or you guys are going to jump into chapter 8 of The Secret Garden. I hope you guys are really enjoying this book. It really is one of my favorites. So I'm hoping you guys are listening to it and reading it and really enjoying it because it really is just a good book about spring and personality and just hope and magic. So I'm really hoping you guys are really enjoying it as much as I enjoy it because it really is one of my favorite books. Now, the standards that we are working on today are the magical Reading Informational Text 6.2, Determining the Central Idea. Now, we are reading informational text, but we're also reading literary text. So we're reading both of those today. So we're actually working on two standards. So we're working on reading informational text 6.2, and then we're working on reading literature 6.2. Okay? So just know that we're working on two standards today. Okay? Two, because we are on it and we can multitask. Woo woo! So let's move on to our mastery prep activity. Here we go, okay? So the result of this assignment and others is poetry that enlivens daily activities and told each student's story. Okay? Now, we can either A, leave this as it is, no change. B, switch told to tells. C, switch told to telling. Or D, switch told to had told. So take a second to look at these options. Now, while we're doing this, I'm going to take a second to jump on a test-taking skill, okay? So we have 4 options, okay? So I want you to pick 2 right now. Pick 2 that you already know are wrong, okay? Okay, pick 2 that you know are wrong, okay? Whether it doesn't sound right, okay? So that should leave you with 2 options, okay? Now think back on all the rules about verbs and their proper tenses. I know y'all saw me sneaking my Dr. Pepper. All right. So, if you chose B, tells, you are correct. Now, how do we know that B, tells, is correct? Okay. Well, there are multiple reasons in this example that we can go off of. Is the result of this assignment, so one assignment is the subject, okay? One assignment. So one assignment tells, okay? One assignment tells the subject or tells the predicate. Okay, so there's a hint word, assignment. And others is also a clue word for us. Poetry that enlivens. See, enlivens has an S as well. So enlivens is another verb that keys in, and it enlivens daily activities and tells each student's story. Okay? So there are several hints in this paragraph, or in this sentence right here, that if you look at it closely, would help you with the answer, which is B, tells. If you got that right, finger snaps for you. I'm proud of you. Woo, woo. All right. Good job. So now, let's move on to the secret garden. So first, let's talk about isolation, okay? So what is isolation? Okay, I'm sure we have heard this word before. This is not a new word, okay? But let's put it into a visual the best way that I can, okay? So isolation means to put one thing, person or thing, away from the others. Okay? That is isolation. So we have this big group of whatever. Okay? So let's say it's an apple. Okay? So we have this big tree full of apples. Okay? So then we have this apple tree, and then we take this one apple and we pluck it and we put it in a bucket. Okay? So this one apple is an isolation. Okay? This one apple has been taken away from this group and taken away and put over here on its own. It is isolated. So isolation means to take away from, take one item or person and put it away from everything else, okay? We also see this in prison is another one. Let's say you get to prison and then a situation happens in prison and they decide that you can't behave in prison, so they take you out of general population and then they put you in isolation all by yourself. Okay? So here's general population, here's all the prisoners, and then maybe a fight breaks out, and then you're involved in the fight, so you're all fighting, and so they take both of you and put you both in isolation. Okay? Right? So isolation is taking one thing and separating it from another. Okay? Right? I hope everybody's got that. Key stuff right there. Now, isolation is also a feeling. Isolation is a feeling where one feels like they are all by themselves. okay? All by his or herself, okay? So this comes in a lot of forms, especially at your age. So let's say you and a friend study together for a huge test, an English test perhaps. And one of you makes an A and the other one makes a C or a D. Okay? So you're wondering, well, now you're really bummed. Like you made the D and you're really bummed and you want to talk about it, but you can't really talk about it with your friend because they don't understand. So now you feel isolated. You feel like there's nobody you can talk to, right? Or let's say you're an only child, okay? So you're an only child and and it's just you and, let's say it's you and your mom, okay? It's just you and your mom, right? And sometimes you just get really lonely because your mom has to work like double shifts or something, right? And you want to talk to your friend about it, but you don't think your friend is going to understand because your friend lives with their mom and their dad and their aunt and their uncle and their cousins, and they have brothers and sisters, so they have like a whole house full of family, and sometimes it's just you at home by yourself. So sometimes you just want to hang out or you just want to call and be like, hey, but you don't think they're going to understand because it's not the same situation. So you feel isolated from your friend, right? I hope those are good examples and that sort of helps you understand what the meaning of isolation and the feeling of what isolation are. Okay? So in the secret garden, Mary really is the definition of isolated, both in feeling and in meaning. So she lives in India, right? And her dad is like really high up because he works for practically royalty. And so she's got all of these people and servants that work for her and play with her and do all of these things for her, right? So she lives a pretty good life, right? Right. So all of a sudden, there's this big, huge epidemic, uh, which we've talked about before a couple of days ago, cholera. So cholera is this big, huge epidemic that breaks out, much like what we're going through, and they tell everybody to head for the hills. So her mom and dad and all the servants head for the hills, and Mary gets scared, and so she hides under her bed in her nursery, and they forget all about her. Okay? So now here's this group of servants and family that have taken care of her, right? Here's this whole group of things, and they all run away to the mountains, leaving just Mary. Okay? That is isolation, right? They left her. So here is just Mary, just the one. Okay? And then some soldiers come and they find her, and they send her off to her uncle, who she's never met, doesn't know anything about her, to England, a place she has never been. So now they are taking an isolated person and putting them in an isolated situation because she doesn't know anybody, anything like that. And then the first person that she meets is just this disagreeable old woman. who only likes to insult her and tell her no, which, as a little princess in India, is not what she is used to hearing. Okay? So already Mary is like, whoa, what is going on here? I'm a little princess in India and I'm not used to being told no. Okay? And now I've met this horrible old lady who just likes to look me in the face and tell me no, and she is not very nice and I don't like her. Okay? Then she goes to this big house where she has to go down this long corridor where there's nothing else inside her nursery, and it's just her. Okay? So then she meets Martha, and Martha's okay. She warms up to Martha, right? She warms up to Martha, and she starts to trust Martha a little bit. Okay? So Martha sort of becomes her friend, right? Right? Like, sort of like a friend. But then, if she wants to really talk to Martha about anything, she really can't because Mary has no siblings. Both of Mary's parents are gone. So Martha can't relate to that because Martha has all of her siblings. She doesn't live by herself. She lives in this little cottage, just her whole big family. So Mary doesn't really know how to talk to Martha, and she doesn't think that Martha will really understand her. So she does make a friend, and this is sort of switching away from isolation, but I want you to remember this as you continue to read The Secret Garden, is she meets the red-breasted robin, okay? And the red-breasted robin is a signal of hope, okay? So anytime you see the red-breasted robin, that's a really good thing. That's a really good thing. It sort of signalizes hope. And the robin remembers Mary, and Mary talks to the robin, and it tweets back to her. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And you'll see as the book continues that she develops a better friendship with Ben Weatherstaff, the cranky old gardener. He gets a little less cranky too. So I, I, I want us to think about and remember all of these things about isolation as we continue to read this book and really understand where Mary is coming from. Okay? Because right now she may seem like an entitled little brat, because she is. But then let's remember that she is in a new place, feeling very, very, very much alone because she is completely isolated. And right now, we're all going through a phase where I'm sure some of us feel completely isolated as well because we're stuck in our houses where we should be. So, right now, this is a great book because I think it's going to give you a lot to look forward to when all of this is lifted, and it gives you something to do to stimulate your mind. And it's just a good book. It's a good book. Okay? So now, your assignment is to read chapter 8 because you should have done chapters 6 and 7 yesterday. Okay? So I want you to take these notes about isolation and add it to the vocabulary words that we did last week so we can get all of those vocabulary words together. Okay? And then we'll probably do a review of all the vocabulary words probably Monday. So let's just keep building our vocabulary words. And then we'll have all of our vocabulary words. And then we'll see what our next plan is. Okay, but we're going to keep building our vocabulary words. And we'll give everybody a chance to get caught up with all the videos because some people are still getting all their logins and stuff like that. I'm still working very diligently on that. Sorry if I haven't gotten back to everybody's emails, but I'm working on that. So today, you need to go back and watch last week's video with our vocab and context. If you didn't do Monday's assignment, and you've received your login information, go ahead and go back and do that vocab for me. And then make sure you have isolation added to your vocab for me. And read chapter 8 today. And that's all I got for you. All right? So have a great day. I hope you have a little fun today. It's April Fool's Day, right? We're supposed to have a little fun, right? Boys and girls just wanna have fun. Oh, boys and girls just wanna have fun. That's all they really want. Is some fun. You're welcome. All right, you guys. Have a great day. And I will talk to you guys again tomorrow. Bye, you guys.